with one man who rode out the storm in the storm shelter, Ricky Stover, and here is what he had to say.
We thought we died because we were inside the cellar door. We locked the cellar door once we saw it coming. It got louder, and next thing you know, you see the latch coming undone, and we couldn't reach for it, and it ripped open the door, and it just glass and debris started slamming on us, and we thought we were dead, to be honest.
Yeah, a lot of people in that neighborhood echoing those same sentiments. Just an absolutely terrifying experience for them. We spoke with another family who had several people down in a storm shelter, and they say that it took 3 men to actually hold down that storm shelter door and to keep it from just flying off. Now, we have not heard of any fatalities in that neighborhood. They were digging through some of the homes, trying to locate people, but I know that at least 2 of the homes that they were digging through, they did find those people well and alive. They had actually left the neighborhood before the storm and then came back, so they were okay. But just a lot of people sifting through a lot of rubble, and was just utter devastation in that neighborhood that's directly to the west of the Moore Medical Center out here in Moore. Guys, back to you.
All right, Sarah, we appreciate it.
Mike Morgan he's over in the Weather Center right now. We've been talking about this storm in comparison to the May 3rd, 1999 storm. That was a historic storm of its own that moved through Moore, Oklahoma. And Mike, from what you've been able to observe, this storm is worse.
Mike, the winds on May 3rd were what, 308 or something like that?
318 from a portable Doppler radar measured just above the tops of the cottonwood trees in West Moore and also down near Bridge Creek. This one likely is an F5, and the winds were in the 300-mile-per-hour range.
All right, and Carl's getting the very latest right now because there is a new tornado warning that we need to tell you about, potentially dangerous storm right now, and it is heading to, or at least a tornado warning that includes Joplin, Missouri. We've been talking about this because a few years ago just got absolutely clobbered, and Mike Bettis was on the scene. So, you know, it's a coincidence that we're, talking and comparing to Joplin, and right now Joplin is under a tornado warning.
Yeah, Mike's been talking about the fact that he hasn't seen anything like this since Joplin, and that's our breaking weather alert system. It's not on there right now, but I can tell you that it's tornado warning for Jasper and Newton counties in Missouri. It's moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. So this cell is moving very quickly, unlike a lot of the other cells. For example, the one that was in Oklahoma City earlier today was moving at about 20 miles per hour. This one is moving rather rapidly. Now you see the circulation is on the southeast side of the storm here. So it's right in there, not very far away from Miami. We'll look at it in velocity mode, and there is a pronounced rotational signature right there. You see that area of red and green, that couplet there? That's where the rotation is, and this is now moving towards the northeast at 60 miles per hour. Now, if it were to move exactly northeast, it looks like it would stay to the south of Joplin, which is right there, but it's certainly going to be very close, and it's something that we're going to want to watch very carefully. Of course, people have been through a terrible time there in Joplin with that tornado 2 years ago, and now a tornado warning for Jasper and Newton counties, cell moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. Chris?
Check with Sarah real quick. What's that, Sarah?
This warning did report debris in the air, so debris.
So one of the warnings with that cell,
yes,
Sarah?
This was the earlier warning, as it's just about to enter into county, including Joplin.
Okay, so did you get that, Carl? There was apparently debris associated with that?
Yes.
Along with the
and Interstate 44 is going to be impacted by this storm.
What was that, sir?
And again, this is going to be most likely, at least if it stays on this current trajectory, this rotation is probably going to pass to the south of Joplin, but it's something that we're going to want to watch very carefully. If you're there in Joplin, we urge you to stay with us as we follow the progress of this storm. Very dangerous storm. Okay, we have a new scan on the Doppler radar, and looking at the rotation now, it's not quite as robust as it was just moments ago. It's still there. There's still rotation there. You can very clearly see it, but it's not quite as tight and not quite as strong as it was moments ago. And let's hope that in fact is a trend, and that we continue to see this thing perhaps going through a bit of a weakening phase. But right now the storm is just to the south and west of Peoria, approaching Seneca, so take cover there. And again, well off to the south of Joplin. And on this trajectory, unless it were to take a left turn, and we certainly have seen tornadoes do that just within the last couple of days, as a matter of fact, at this point it looks like it's probably going to pass to the south of Joplin.
Carl, thank you for that. And this is the Weather Channel. We do have several meteorologists that are here right now. We're looking at this, keeping an eye on this, and of course we'll let you know if we do need to go back and get you the latest on any tornado warning. But right now we want to go back and take a look at what some of these storms have done. And with that, let's go back to meteorologist Mike Bettis, who is on the scene there. And Mike, will you show us again, or you have Dr. Forbes there. Can you guys give us perspective of what's going on right now?
Yeah, and I want to ask Dr. Forbes, because here's a gentleman who has been to damage surveys of EF5 tornadoes before. I want to ask your perspective. You take a look at what this scene is. What do you surmise from this?
Yeah, I've seen several of the F5 rated tornadoes in '74, Birmingham, Alabama in '77, Wheatland, Pennsylvania in '85. This is more extensive and more total destruction from this tornado than I've seen in those. It is a much wider scene. Big piles of debris are all that are left.
Dr. Forbes, what kind of wind does it take to take a brick home all the way down to the slab?
Yeah, this is going to be up in the 165 to 200 mile per hour range at this location. But there are vehicles that are tossed, all sorts of major wind type of forces, examples that have taken place here.
This location where we are, it looks like it could be maybe anywhere from a quarter of a mile to a half a mile wide, and when you have densely populated communities like this, I mean, every home looks pretty much the same then, and they're all destroyed.
Yeah, and of course the total width of the tornado includes the outer EF0 ranges, and that we were in that maybe another half mile or so, so I think it's probably going to be more than a mile wide. The worst of it here, probably about a quarter mile wide. So this is just extensive, stunning kind of damage.
So to kind of back up a little bit, give you a little lay of the land of what has happened here. It was earlier this afternoon that a very large, very powerful tornado came right through the Newcastle area in the southwest side of Oklahoma City and then through Moore, Oklahoma. This is a town that was hit by an EF5 tornado 14 years ago in 1999. They've gone through this before. It doesn't mean they want to go through it again. Dr. Forbes, you know all too well about that tornado. And what experience does Moore take away from that maybe helped save lives in this situation?
Well, certainly they're very, very weather conscious, and so several days in advance it was forecasted that this was going to be the kind of tornado day. They had tornadoes in the news. They had tornado watches yesterday, and with the expectation that today was going to be another tornado day. So I'm sure people were paying very close attention to the media, to No Weather Radio, watching the Weather Channel, any means that they had to get warnings and get weather information. The watch was issued well ahead of time. I'm sure people were taking as much shelter as they could in this case.
We're on the scene here in Moore, Oklahoma. We want to listen in now to our affiliate coverage here in Oklahoma City, KFOR. Let's take a listen right now.
So, I mean, risking my life for an animal, I think I don't have a problem doing it because I'm an animal person. But to people out there, whenever you have storms and stuff going on, make sure you have your animals with you because they can't take care of themselves. They need us. And I'm just very thankful that I'm alive because I don't think I'm crazy for rescuing her.
Now, you obviously live down here. Your home completely destroyed, it sounds like. What's going through your mind right now as you look at your home, all the homes, the school here behind us, completely destroyed? I mean, what's going through your mind?
I feel like I'm in a dream. That's all I can say. I just can't believe that it's actually happened.
All right. Well, at least you saved yourself and your dog, Ginger.
Yes.
Seems to be okay. May got a little banged up, getting tossed around as well. But again, I appreciate your time. Thanks very much, Elizabeth.
No problem. Nice
to meet you. Take care. Again, the story out here, again, absolutely devastation. All the homes around us completely leveled. Again, you heard from Elizabeth, came home to rescue her dog successfully. This is one of the good stories. Unfortunately, here at Plaza Towers Elementary, we may not have as many good stories. If I can step out of the shot here, I'm sorry, sir, and go in again to the school. Again, you can see that rescue operations continue here in the front of this school. As Lance said, there may be potentially dozens of casualties here at the school. We'll have to wait and see exactly what happens. But again, just an absolutely indescribable scene from down here. We'll continue to cover it and have more in the next few minutes. Back to you guys.
Jesse, thanks.
We should say that that is no longer a search and recovery effort at the school. They have, I'm sorry.
Not search and rescue, it's a search and recovery.
Right.
Yeah,
So
at this
the
point.
search efforts are over.
Yeah, and we do believe, as Lance West told us, could be as many as 24 little ones that are fatalities there. It's awful.
John Welsh remains in Chopper 4. You have been up there for many hours now as you followed that storm into Moore and as you have followed the rescue efforts that are taking place. And as we've said before,
And our affiliate KFOR reporting that there may be many more deaths because of this tornado. Let's go back now and listen from a little bit earlier at one of the KFOR reporters talking about that.
Yeah, guys, I just ran down there to the school to talk to emergency personnel, and I have been told by some very reliable sources here on the scene that this is no longer a search and rescue operation. It's now a recovery mission. It is my understanding that there are up to 24 children, victims, trapped at the bottom of that school right now. This is Eagle Drive right here. We understand there could be as many as a half dozen more fatalities on this street alone in this area. The emergency personnel have backed out of the school. They're pulling in more vehicles. They're backing people away. And I understand they're going to start pulling these tiny victims out of the rubble here shortly.
it's too difficult, Lance. I'm so sorry.
Lance, hang in there.
Tough to report on no matter who you are and what you've seen. Again, KFOR reporting that about 24 students have been trapped, and it is now a recovery mission. Trapped and killed, apparently, according to the KFOR reporter there on the scene who spoke with the officials with that. Right now, though, we are trying to keep you safe and ahead of the storms. Storm specialist Carl Parker is here keeping an eye on the storms. And Carl, we're looking at this the live pictures here, which according to KFOR, our affiliate there out of Oklahoma City, this is now a recovery mission. That's what they are reporting right now. Heartbreaking for the reporter, for us to watch it here. Anybody at home watching, this is very, very difficult to see as this is unfolding. And it's going to be a while before we know the total magnitude of this, the lives lost and all of the damage, but we do have to keep you safe and ahead of the storms that are firing right now, and that's what you're looking at.
Yeah, and I just want to mention that, the word that comes to my mind is perspective, because we all get caught up in the things that bother us and things that we find to be difficult in life, and everybody has difficulty in life, but it's not like that.
Right.
Almost always, it's not like that. I mean, that's just about as bad as it gets, and our hearts go out to those people in Springfield. So yes, we are watching some more storms here across the Dallas metro area. Things are pretty quiet right now, but well off to the south and to the west, there is a tornado warning, a cell that has not been moving really at all, and so very heavy rain along with that. There's a flash flood warning, but we were concerned about the possibility of it moving up into Dallas, and it just does not want to do that. There is, however, some development off to the southwest, or excuse me, off to the west and along I-20 there, so we will watch that carefully for the Dallas area, but right now just a few showers coming through. To the north, there is a tornado warning ongoing. There have been tornadoes reported with this cell, and that is for Cook and Montague counties, Lindsay and Munster among the cities in this rotation here. That's generally heading towards 35, and that's going until 7:30. Then another tornado warning off to the north, and that tornado warning for Atoka, Cole, and Johnston counties. Want to watch out in Colgate and Wapanuka as that moves off to the north and to the east. A new cell has popped up right over Oklahoma City, and you can see here that it's around Del City and Edmond. So there's been brand new development right there on top of Oklahoma City, and that's going until 7:30. Watch for large hail, damaging wind there. We'll watch to see if that cell acquires any rotation. And we've also been watching this cell with tornado warning that is just south of, there's one north of Joplin and another one now that is just south of Joplin. And it looks like that rotation is most likely going to be passing just to the south. Look at the high resolution radar, and we'll zoom in a little bit on Joplin and show you the rotation, which is certainly still there. There's the latest image of the velocity, and you can see that spin right in there. That is the spin, but again, that is off to the south now of Joplin and traveling to the northeast. So on its current trajectory, it looks like it will stay to the south of Joplin. However, certainly we have concerns there in Neosho, tornado warning for Jasper, Newton counties, and that's moving northeast at 60 miles per hour. So take cover immediately now in Diamond and Granby and also in Neosho as that continues to rapidly move off to the north and to the east. And a couple more things I want to show you. We've got some cells here that are coming into St. Louis and watching for possible severe weather along with those. Tornado warning now to the north of St. Louis for Monroe County. And in the larger picture, you can see this massive rain here. So as these storms begin to congeal and sort of pool their resources, we're going to find them turning into massive clusters of storms overnight. And along with that, there is going to be a heavy rain threat that continues well into the evening hours, Chris.
All right, Carl, thank you for that. Of course, we'll keep you up to date on that. If you're just joining us here on the Weather Channel, we do have some sad news to report. 10 people have been confirmed dead. KFOR, our affiliate out of Oklahoma City, reporting 24 kids have been killed at one of the schools there that was either damaged or destroyed by this tornado. So we're looking at potentially 34 people killed because of this tornado. We want to go right now to meteorologist Mike Bettis, who is once again live on the scene after a massive tornado tore through just moments after. As we got there as soon as he could. He's along with our severe weather expert, also Dr. Greg Forbes.
Chris, thank you very much. You know, it's one of those scenes again. This is the part of the job we hate, Dr. Forbes. And I want to, if I can, give you perspective on what this looks like. If you look to the east, this looks, there's not a house standing. And as far as this camera will shoot, there is not a house that is standing. And it just shows you how powerful this tornado was. It shows you how wide this tornado was. It shows you how long it stayed on the ground. We're with our tornado expert, Dr. Greg Forbes, and it's, you know, we can, your senses are heightened in situations like this, Dr. Forbes. We smell gasoline, yes. We smell natural gas. There are a lot of things that happen in the aftermath of a tornado.
Yeah, this is beyond belief and certainly way beyond anything that I've ever seen on the ground. The destruction, just piles of debris that were formerly homes, just cars that have been flipped, mangled as if they were in total car accidents. It is a scene of utter destruction here, just incomprehensible for several blocks wide and several miles long down off toward the east. It is a scene that words can hardly describe.
You know, I think, you know, when you see something like this, as Carl was talking about, and not to get, you know, too philosophical, but you start to then, you know, your life takes on different perspective.
Yeah.
You think about different things in your life than you did maybe yesterday, because you know how precious life is. It can be taken from you in an instant, just like it was for many people here, even though we know, Dr. Forbes, that people that live in this part of the country, if there's any part of the country, they're very aware of whether it is here. But having said that, this happened to them again.
Yeah, this is the third time, including 1999, that this area and probably some parts of this have been hit several 2 to 3 times in that same time span. It's just inconceivable. And people though are proceeding here to sort through the rubble, trying to salvage whatever they can.
We want to get you back to some breaking news. We're going to take you back to KFOR affiliate here in Oklahoma City, having more information on the elementary schools that were hit this afternoon.
Inside the school, and again, it is with a heavy heart that I bring you this news. Also, there was a search effort at a couple of houses down behind me, about a quarter mile. They have abandoned those searches as well. The cries for help have stopped about 15 minutes ago, so I would suspect that the casualty number is going to climb throughout the evening, and we probably have another hour, maybe hour and a half of sunlight, so they're doing everything they can to put an end to an extremely difficult situation out here tonight.
It's excruciating for everybody involved, and especially the parents. Lance, have they moved the parents to some central location so that they can tell them what has happened or prepare them for what might be the worst news they're ever going to receive?
Yes, there is a staging area at a church about a mile to our south. That's where a lot of the kids and the parents have congregated. I suspect that there are emergency personnel delivering the news. There were some parents out here earlier just screaming hysterical, as you might expect. They have since been taken away to another area. And I understand that there's going to be a news conference, I believe at 7:30 tonight at Moore City Hall. They'll deliver more of the facts and figures as to what's happened out here today. But again, we do know 7 children, the bodies have been found. They drowned in the bottom of the school, and they're still looking for 20 to 30 more tonight.
Lance, when you say Midwest City Search and Rescue pulled back, have they left the scene, or are they simply... what we're seeing right now, I know that you can't see it, is a live picture of the scene. We're seeing the yellow tape that they put up around the school. We're seeing a long line of yellow uniformed firefighters and rescue personnel who seem to be moving debris away piece by piece. Now, there appear, if I'm counting them right, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 2 dozen at the most on the scene. Will that effort just continue throughout the evening?
Oh, it's almost sort of a convoy assembly line, if you will, as they remove that debris down the line to try to reach the victims at the bottom of the rubble. Midwest City, one of the many agencies out here donating their search and rescue efforts to this cause, but they have pulled out their team. Still a lot of others out here. Newcastle Fire and Rescue has just pulled up. I see Midwest City Ambulance. EMSA is here, obviously. Oklahoma City, more, just jurisdictions all over the metro here trying to lend a hand.
All right, Lance, we appreciate your report very much. We just hate what you had to say. Ghastly report coming from that school. 7 children drowned at the bottom of a school. They think there could be as many as 20 or 30 more little victims in there as they continue to search for those bodies.
All afternoon we have been
And you were listening to KFOR, our affiliate here in Oklahoma City, giving you some more details on another elementary school that was hit. We believe that is the Plaza Towers Elementary, hearing now that maybe as many as 30 school children dead inside that school. We're on the scene of another school behind us here. This is Briarwood Elementary that has taken a direct hit from the tornado as well. I can tell you this, we spoke inside this school. From what he tells us, all the faculty members and students are accounted for and okay. Having said that, in the parking lot, fire and rescue crews are here. We spoke to one of the firemen a little bit earlier. He said they're going to be here through the night. What they're going to have to do is go through that elementary school. They're staging right now. They're going to get orders from their chief. They're going to stage here, and then they're going to go in, and they're going to search this school room by room by room, and then they're going to search the periphery of the school to see if there's anybody that's unaccounted for, or there's anyone still remaining at this location. This is the parking lot. You imagine these were probably school teachers' cars that were in the parking lot. They still, some have the flashers going off still. Some are not even recognizable. I could not even tell you what kind of car this is sitting right here. It is that mangled. There's a pungent odor of gasoline, of natural gas. Heavy machinery is here. Off in the distance here, and Dr. Greg Forbes with us. We've seen a constant stream of this, Dr. Forbes. It's ambulance and it's fire trucks and search and rescue.
Yeah, and in the parking lot there are vehicles on top of vehicles, vehicles on their sides, as well as vehicles upside down and mangling beyond recognition. As well as all of these pieces of 2x4 and boards, you can see some of the smaller trees here have lost their bark. You talk about there's an entire trunk of trees. Here, some of it, including the entire motor vehicle, just staggering how destructive and violent this tornado was.
This happened roughly 4.5 hours ago or so, or 3.5 hours ago or so. I'm going to expect here as we walk down through the street by street, down through
their washer and dryer. Everything is just amazing what the force of a tornado can do?
You know, this is something that we don't like to see. We see, you know, ambulances pulling into the scene. They're usually here for a reason. Search and rescue teams will go in there with more of their heavy equipment, and they will look for survivors, and they will bring them to the ambulance to be treated by teams, and they'll be transported to hospital. In situations examiners come in, they'll bring in large buses. And autopsies, bodies, but the EMT by home, they kind of will grid it out. So as they set down their grid, they'll go from one home to the next, cross that home off their list so they don't have to go back and repeat that home, so that they're not in essence wasting their time, because at this point time is of the essence. Because when you have a situation like this, Dr. Forbes, if there is someone trapped in rubble, they may, and if they're injured, they may not have a long time, and they need immediate medical attention.
That's absolutely the case, and it appears to me, Mike, that they have gone through and searched the vehicles here. I see X's on the side. I believe that would mean that they've looked in there and to verify that there's no one trapped in the vehicles.
And that's usually what they'll end up doing with the homes as well. You'll see on the walls, they'll put X's and they'll put numbers, and it's code for, it'll let you know how many occupants in the home there were, how many people have been accounted for. But in some instances, Dr. Forbes, that becomes very difficult. Get some police officers coming through. That becomes very difficult because there's no home left in some instances to put their markings on like they normally would. So they basically, in a lot of cases, if they can, they'll basically have to use a computer, and they will put a GPS location, if you will, kind of a pin drop at that location, and computerize the search and rescue.
Yeah, and in some cases here, they're still cleaning some of what is going on right now with some of the heavy equipment is to try to clean some of the streets so that they can get farther down the street and get some of the emergency, the ambulances without them puncturing their tires, without them getting stranded.
We can update you on what we know. What we do know for sure is that the Oklahoma City Medical Examiner's Office has confirmed 10 fatalities. What we're also hearing from other reporters on the scene, from KFOR here in Oklahoma City, that as many as 30 school children may have perished at Towers Plaza Elementary School, which is, Dr. Forbes, not that far from here. No. It is a couple of blocks from here, and we don't know what that school looks like. We know that Briarwood here has taken a direct hit, and it looks pretty bad. We are hearing that that school has been flattened.
Yeah, this is a brick school, so we're likely talking again something that is probably approaching 200 miles per hour. We talk about total collapse of a school beyond recognition.
You know, and to a lot of people, they can't understand what 200 miles an hour is. I say, how fast does your car go? When you're going down the highway, you're doing speed limit. You're doing 65 miles an hour. Now go triple that.
Yeah.
Go 3 times faster than the speed limit on the highway, and that's what the winds were with this. Imagine if your car ran into a home doing 200 miles an hour, what that would do.
Yeah, and then recognizing that the force is the square of the speed. So if it's 3 times faster, it's 9 times the force when it hits, as your car would be doing. So
an unfolding situation here in Moore, Oklahoma, as we have just arrived on the scene within the last hour. A tornado striking here with deadly force in Moore. We will keep you updated as best we can. We want to send it back to our Weather Channel headquarters in Atlanta. We'll try to gather some more information for you, Chris and Carl, but you're seeing the pictures like we are for the very first time, and they truly are stunning.
All right, meteorologist Mike Bettis and our severe weather expert Dr. Greg Forbes onto the scene there in Moore, Oklahoma. And there are several tornado warnings right now that we want to get to.
Yeah, there are still some tornado warnings out there. One of those is not very far away from Joplin, but the cell is moving to the south of Joplin. And as we take a look at that cell, you can see that there is rotation within this. And in fact, it's a pretty broad rotation right now. It's pronounced, but it's broad. There certainly could be a tornado within this coming into Diamond and Granby and heads up there in Wentworth. That cell is moving off